to Miami Marlins Hot Stove with Kyle Seeloff and Steven Strong.
Come on! Is it enough? And the waltz is gone!
Looking up, does it have enough?
Yes! There she goes!
And the pitch is swung out and missed, strike three! There it is! They've done it! The drought is over! The Marlins beat the Pirates 7-3! They are postseason bound in 2023!
In or out of season, Marlins baseball is always on Fox Sports 940.
Yeah, we're back with you, baby. Welcome to the Miami Marlins Hot Stove Show. Another Tuesday night, December 12th. Thanks for joining us on Fox Sports 940 Miami and the iHeartRadio app with Steven Strom. I'm Kyle Seeloff. We are back. The band is back together.
Let's go.
Steven missed me greatly last week. I was up in Nashville at the winter meetings. Maybe we'll hit on that in just a little bit. The phone lines are open tonight, 866-801-0940.
Let's go.
We have already got 2 calls that have rolled in. We will get to Ryan and Robert in just a couple of minutes, but let's catch up first.
Hi, Kyle.
Old pal, Steven, it's good to be back with you. Since we last chatted, there was not a whole lot in Marlins land until over the weekend. We learned that the Marlins had acquired Christian Bethancourt from the Cleveland Guardians, and the initial and obvious tie is that he and Peter do have a relationship going back to their Tampa Bay Rays days. And in addition, Skip Schumacher has a tie with Bethancourt going back to their San Diego days. So the beat rolls on. We have talked about this plenty so far since Peter Bendix was named the Marlins president of baseball operations, but he is going to do things in a familiar manner in which he did it over there in St. Petersburg. And I think the Marlins got a little bit better with this deal.
And I think you tweeted it out, Kyle. I think you nailed it on the head. This isn't a sexy move or a jaw-dropping move. We knew that the Marlins were going to make a move for a catcher. We had talked about some of the possibilities, where you wanted to go and where I wanted to go, but ultimately Peter Bendix made the decision on what he wanted to do, and it was Christian Bethancourt, and I think it made sense for a couple of reasons. First of all, and the most obvious one is the defense, and holding runners last year was a major problem for the Miami Marlins, and defensively, this is a guy in Christian Bethancourt. He threw out 12 runners. I think this is a new stat I'm coming up with.
Oh,
he
good.
will lead the NL in never minds. Do you know what never minds are?
No
never
idea.
minds are when you're on first base and you're looking to steal, and you know what you say? Never mind.
I guess never mind. Well,
and there wasn't a lot of
that's
never
innovative,
minds.
man. That's boy, you've had a week to dial that up.
Yeah.
That's terrific stuff,
I
Steven.
did. I wanted to because I think it's a very skewed stat sometimes. It's like interceptions in football. When you're throwing runners out, you can lead the league in runners, but that also means that they're running on you. They don't respect you. You know what I'm saying? So in this case, obviously, a guy in Christian Bethancourt threw out 12 runners, and defensively, like we kind of are hitting on now, career high 104 games in 2023. The only catcher with a quicker pop time than Christian Bethancourt is JT Realmuto, who obviously is sensational. So defensively, big-time upgrade. Offensively, and this isn't to knock on Nick Fortes and Jacob Stallings. Jacob Stallings, 191, 3 home runs. Nick Fortes, 206, 6 home runs. Bethancourt smacked 11 last year, which was also tied for the most in his career. And the extra base hits in 2023, Bethancourt had 27. And keep in mind, Fortes and Stallings, they only had 33 in 60 fewer games. So this is an upgrade on both levels if you want to compare it to last year.
Arbitration eligible.
Good.
2 more years of control. 32 years old, so still kind of in the meaty part of his career. Maybe playing on the back nine, but 32 years old is not an old man. A terrific defensive catcher, as you mentioned.
Worked with great pitchers. I love that you tweeted that.
He caught a terrific staff. He had a 3.62 catcher's ERA, which is a thing. That ranks second lowest among Major League Baseball catchers with at least 3,000 plate appearances. Last season, 23% caught stealing rate. That was above league average. You mentioned the elite pop time. Arm strength, 70 grade on that 20-80 scale. The Miami Marlins got a little bit better, and that's exactly, as we have talked about, going to be what they're looking to do.
They're not going to break the bank and bring in the big-time free agent. We talked about that.
You're not going to get an Ohtani that's going to completely revolutionize the entire franchise.
Yep.
But if we're going to harp on it, you go back to what the Rays have done for so many
That's
years. Every little move made them incrementally just a little bit better.
There's a blueprint.
And you continue to do that long enough, you're going to be in a really good position. All right. We going out to the phone lines already?
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. Ryan, go ahead. How you doing?
Big Rye.
Hey, what's up, guys? You guys can hear me?
I know who you are, Ryan.
God.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, guys. I just got out of school like an hour ago.
What grade you in now?
I'm an ace.
Oh, God bless you. That's God bless you. That's a tough year. I hope you get through that grade 8 year, brother.
But it is coming up on Christmas break, holiday breaks. You got to be pumped for that.
Yeah.
What do you got for us, Ryan?
Yeah. I was just wondering, how do you guys feel about the Marlins' current shortstops, and do you guys think that they could still do something in the offseason now that Ohtani signed and some players are going to start signing and there's going to be more trades to address the shortstop situation, since you have guys like Brujan and Birdie, who maybe the Marlins don't see as permanent options as an everyday shortstop, and Brujan might be more of an experiment. Birdie's kind of what you think he is as a utility player. So what do you guys think about the shortstop position?
Well, you're an 8th grader. It sounds like you're a senior in
unbelievable.
college, Ryan.
He's
It's a
gonna take our
terrific
job.
phone call, buddy. Make sure you stay in touch with us. Thanks for the call. You want to go? You want me to go first?
No, I think it's an interesting question, and we actually had a chance today in our town hall to listen to Peter, and one of the things that he said was the roster that we see right now, it could potentially change, right? And for right now, it's Vidal Brujan, a guy that he really believes in. He thinks a change of scenery is going to work. We haven't heard a lot from him at this level. He's playing in the Dominican League right now, but I think that's someone that's almost, to me, it felt like this was a personal one for Bendix. Like, he believes in him. He believes he can be an everyday shortstop. So I would think as of right now, it is him and Birdie, but I'm not going to rule out him making some other move in the later stages here. Ryan makes a good point, and so does Peter. He said that they're kind of waiting on what the market looks like with Ohtani, and he finally signed, so now they're going to be able to make a move. But right now, if I had to guess, Vidal Brujan is the opening day starter at shortstop. That is my guess.
I think Vidal Brujan's going to get every opportunity to be the opening day shortstop, a position that he has not played a ton of lately. He better be careful down there in the Dominican Republic, by the way. Some awful news today that Ronnie Mauricio, the 4th-ranked prospect for the New York Mets, just tore his ACL over the weekend. He was projected to potentially be their opening day third baseman. But as it pertains to Brujan, I think he's going to get every opportunity. Again, he fits that blueprint, changes scenery. He is under team control for a very long time. Former top 5 prospect. Maybe a change of scenery is going to do him good. I think that's going to be great. And furthermore, I would take one other position. I don't think the Marlins and Peter will ever be content. I think Christian Bethancourt is a great addition to the catching department. Now, keep in mind, the Marlins still only have 2 catchers on the 40-man roster. I think they will continue to try to upgrade there. And I think there could be 3 really solid catchers going into spring training, which forces you to make tough decisions, which is exactly what you want to do as a Major League president of baseball operations, manager, GM, what have you.
Before we move on to our next call, just really quickly, and I want to reiterate this point, and I said it about Brujan. You have to always think about the situation beforehand, and we talked about the potential places that he would play defensively. Look at who is in front of him. At the time, Wander Franco was playing short. Brandon Lau. I mean, there was a lot of talent there. So sometimes it's a circumstance thing, right? Dom Smith with the New York Mets, he's not playing first, right? He gets traded, and Pete Alonso takes over. That's just sometimes how careers goes. That's just how it works. So hopefully for Vidal Brujan, he comes on here with a clean slate and, again, every opportunity to play short.
A 25-year-old with a very bright future in front of him, a former top 5 kind of guy in the Tampa Bay Rays farm system, one that's been loaded over the course of the last decade or so. So I do think, and Ryan, thank you again for calling that, Brujan's going to have an opportunity to be the everyday shortstop if he proves himself at that position in spring training. Always tough to gauge during the spring as well. All right, let's go back out to the phone lines now. Robert, go ahead. Robert, good evening.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for taking my call, and I'm excited about having a catcher before Christmas here. I still think the best signing the Marlins ever made in their history was Pudge, and that came kind of into the new year of that off season. So I'm really glad that we have Bethancourt in the mix, and I'm looking forward to see how our catching situation develops. That's what wins championships. But I was kind of reading through some articles on the Ohtani signing, and I ran into a little footnote in one of them. I guess later this week, the whole Bally Sports bankruptcy thing is going to court, and I'm wondering if that's kind of holding up the free agent signings, because it sounds like it's potentially going to be pretty impactful to a lot of the teams if that goes under pretty soon. But is there any sense from your trip to Nashville there, or anything you've been hearing, that that's kind of holding things up, and maybe after that gets taken care of later this week, we might start seeing some more activity?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Robert, that's a great question, and I wish I had a better answer for you, because, I appreciate that you were in the weeds in that stuff, and it is something I have simply not thought of, and I suppose that could be a very real thing, and I wish I had a better answer for you. I am just not nearly up to date enough on kind of the inner workings of all those TV deals. I think it's a very valid point.
Yeah.
Whatever Major League Baseball does with all of these regional networks and stuff, I think it's a fantastic point. Something I had not thought of.
It's a big question.
I can't speak on it any further, because I truly don't know that entire process. What's going on? Obviously, we were at Lone Depot Park last season when the Padres were on Bally Sports San Diego one night, and the next night they had those MLB mic flags. So,
I know. Booth signage.
Yeah, Robert, thank you for the question. I will continue to kind of read and do my own homework, because I think it's a fascinating question.
Rob, we're both going to write that down. We'll get that answer for you.
I'll do the best I can within what we're allowed to, I guess, talk about. But yeah, it's a great question, and I suppose I'm not just going to poo-poo something like that. There may certainly be something to that when teams are budgeting and trying to look at their finances for the upcoming season and what the payroll is supposed to look like and all that stuff. Obviously, TV money in the world of Major League Baseball and every other professional sport is ginormous, and a lot of time it fuels the payroll. So, Robert, thank you for calling us. Let's go back out to the phone lines. Let's take one more call. Let's go out to Melissa, then we'll take a break, then we'll get to a bell when we come back from break. Hi, Melissa.
Talk to us,
Hi,
Melissa.
guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, how are you?
Okay, cool. I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good.
We're great.
So I was kind of thinking about the whole shortstop situation. Obviously, we have Birdie, we have Edwards, we have Buhan, who was just signed a couple of weeks ago. And I came across, there's one player in the National League from the Brewers. His name is Willie Adames. I'm sure you guys have heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, this past season, he was incredible. And I was kind of thinking, like, what could that be like if the Marlins would hopefully be able to sign him? Because defensively, he's really good. Obviously, there's times where he's been struggling, but overall, he's a great player. And as someone who also grew up a Brewers fan, I kind of see him taking our offense to a whole other level. Do you guys, would you guys agree on that, or would you think that there's another possible shortstop that the Marlins could sign?
Well, Melissa, thank you for the phone call, first and foremost. Thank you for hanging out with us and making us a part of your Tuesday night here. As it pertains in particular to Willie Adames, we're talking about a 28-year-old who obviously has that Rays connection. Now, he is currently a Milwaukee Brewer. He's not a free agent until after this upcoming season.
So it would have to be a trade.
So it would have to be in the way of a trade. But, again, I think, and I appreciate all these phone calls, because there's always ways to get creative. You do not limit yourself to anything. And I don't think it's unreasonable to suggest the Marlins could swing a deal with the Milwaukee Brewers or any other team for maybe one of the more quote-unquote high-profile position players on that team. So, Melissa, I think it's reasonable. I don't think that's out of line at all.
I think there's the Rays connections there, and obviously would help this lineup. And I think the big thing, though, here is, what would Milwaukee want from Miami? Because it feels like he's a guy that is, I wouldn't say a staple there, but he's pretty, I think, wanted. And I would have to be a pretty big trade.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Miami.
That's a premium position. A guy that stays healthy. He obviously had a down year last year. Hit 217 OBP, a little over 300, 149 games with the Brewers. Hit your 24 homers, drive in 80 from the shortstop position. That's really good stuff. So and again, I think it's interesting when you look at it, because I would say absolutely not if this is a guy with 4 years of control left. This is a 28-year-old who's been in the big leagues for 5 years. It's a potential walk year for him. Would the Brewers say, hey, what do you think about a deal that would bring us Braxton Garrett and Willie Adames goes back the other? I'm just throwing names out there. But I don't think any of that stuff should just be, no way. I don't think they'll do it. I think the Marlins will get very creative and put this roster together however they see fit and give them the best chance to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as pitching, I mean, that is going to be, you're going to hear names get swirled around. The Marlins have a plethora of young starting pitching that teams are very much interested in. So it is going to be an interesting, and I think as we saw Ohtani sign, it's going to be interesting to see how the market moves, and we'll see what Peter Bendix does. Another thing that I want to keep hammering away is that this is going to be built for success, not for this year, not for next year, but for the years to come. So if that means trading one of your younger pieces for a guy like Willy Adames, or other way around, maybe you trade someone like a Luzardo for top prospects. You just don't know what's going to happen here moving forward.
Now, the only thing I will say, and we'll take a break in a minute, and when we come back after our first break here at the Marlins Hot Stove Show tonight, we will get to you a bell, so make sure you stay with us. The only thing is, if the Marlins were going to trade for a player with only 1 year left of control, I do think if you would make a deal, and let's say you trade young, controllable starting pitching, in my personal opinion, what the Marlins will be looking to get back is either a player with team control in multiple years, or there's an agreement in place upon that trade to
like
keep
that
Berger individual here maybe a bit longer term. So if you're going to do a deal for, say, Willy Adames, you've got to try to lock him up. If you're going to give away,
almost
let's
like
say,
a sign and trade.
Correct, right. So if Adames is here, you got to say, hey, here's an additional 2 years. We got you for 3 years, and you put it in the wash, and it all comes out looking cleaner on the other side. So let's take a break. And by the way, I told Steven before we went on the air, I said, my challenge for you, get some people to call in and talk Marlins baseball this tonight. We're 3 people deep. We've got one coming up. It's a bell on the other side of the break. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Tuesday. You're